Not sure which crochet hooks to use with which yarn? Or maybe your projects just don't turn out the right size, or even just look right. We've all been there, but today I'm going to show you how to choose the right crochet hook to go with your yarn so that your projects turn out perfect every time and the way that you want them. And yes, it does depend on you what crochet hook you use. The one that I use might not be perfect for you. Hi, come on in. I'm Caroline, this is Caro-stitched, and I've been crocheting for longer than I can remember. And that's a lot of years now. And I've picked up a lot of knowledge along the way, especially about hooks and yarns, because that's what I use. And today I'm going to share some of that knowledge with you, so you can find the perfect hooks to go with your wool and make those projects what you want them to be. So let's get started. So first of all, why does the hook sizes and the yarn size actually matter? Using the right hook for your project and the right yarn for your project really does make a huge difference. If you use the wrong pairing, it can mean that your project turns out far too loose or too tight or just entirely the wrong size. So we'll start with the crochet hooks. They come in lots of different materials and styles, and I'll just go over some of the basics with yourselves. So beginning with the materials, we have aluminium, and this is in fact the ones I started with and I've used for a long time and still do. You have plastic ones, you have wooden ones and bamboo ones. So the aluminium ones are smooth and therefore you can work a little bit faster. The wood and the bamboo ones have a little bit more grip to them, so are very good for when you've got wools that are quite shiny and slidey to work with. Gives you that extra grip for your particular project. So you have different handle types as well. You get the ergonomic ones that are a little bit thicker in the handle, and it just means a little bit more comfortable to hold on to. You also get the thinner handles, and they're usually a little bit more lightweight and are the more traditional option. Again, you get actual different hook shapes. Some of them are sharper, so more useful for tighter stitches. And then you get more rounded hooks, which are better for smoother stitching. But a lot of this really comes down to what you're comfortable using. I use a mixture of these and have started recently using more ergonomic, mainly because my hands do get sore at times. So therefore I started using some of the more ergonomic handles for some of my work, although I love my aluminium ones and still continue to use them a lot of the time. So it's personal preference a lot of the time. But what they all do have in common is obviously the different sizes that they come in. And you can usually find these on the handle, and it is a way of defining which size they are. They usually, all the different types come in a wide variety of sizes, so you can choose the right one for your projects. And again, just like the crochet hooks, our yarns come in lots of different weights and sizes too. Obviously, you have the super fine lace ones, which are good for things like delicate shawls and doilies. You have your super fine, what's classed as fingering wool, which is good for any other lightweight garments that you might want to make. You have your fine sport weight, which is great for baby clothes. You have your light double knitting DK wool, which is brilliant for lightweight sweaters and scarves. You have your medium worsted weight yarn, which is blankets and hats, and also for amigurumi. There is your bulky, chunky weight yarn, which is brilliant for all your winter accessories. Helps to keep you warm. And then you have your super bulky, super chunky, and your chumbo wool, which is brilliant for big chunky blankets and makes up really quickly. But how do you know which hook to use with which yarn? Now, A basic guide is on your yarn label. As you can see on this ball of yarn, it does have the weight of your yarn, and it also has which crochet hook you should use and which set of knitting needles you should use. And most yarns do come with a recommended size hook for them, and it's a good place to start. So your Arn weight worsted yarn would be a 5mm hook. Your chunky yarn might suggest a 6 to 8mm hook. It just depends. But although, as I say, this is a really good starting place, doesn't always follow that it's the right one for yourself. And you may find that with the recommended hook size for the wool, you may have to go up and down hook size or half hook size depending on what you're looking for. So if you would like your project to be a little bit tighter, you'd have to go down a size. If you want it to be looser and look looser, you'd have to go up a size. But that's a very general overview of all of these and doesn't really tailor it for you. Each of us has our own tensions that we work at, and I know I used to always crochet very tightly, and therefore I used to always have to go up hook sizes in order to make my project the size that they're supposed to be. Because if you're crocheting, say, a baby hat or a jumper for somebody, and you follow the project to the letter, and your tension is very tight, then that's going to turn out smaller. So the hat's not going to fit, the jumper's not going to fit, because it's too tight, too small for the person it's intended for. And this is why checking your gauge is really important. So what's a gauge? So it's a number of stitches and rows in an inch for your particular project. But how do you check that your gauge is right for the project you're going to do? Well, you grab the recommended hook size to go with the recommended yarn that you're using, and you crochet yourself a swatch, generally a 4" by 4" swatch. When you finish that swatch, you measure how many rows and how many stitches fit within that square. If you've got too many, then you go up a hook size. If you've got too few, you go down a hook size. I can't tell you how crucial this step is for any project you're going to do. In this case, size really matters, and therefore you have to make sure that it's right. So just a quick run through. It's once you've chosen which hooks you like to work with the most, it's getting the right hook for the yarn that you're going to use, looking at the recommended sizes either on the label or by the table that we had before. Doing that test swatch, that test gauge, doing that 4x4 swatch and seeing whether you need to go up a hook size or down a hook size, or whether you're at the right place. Very important. So those are your steps. So just a few final tips for yourself. Always keep a variety of hooks of different sizes nearby so that you can change them up and down as you need to. Don't be scared to have a go at different combinations of hooks and yarns, even though it's not what's been recommended on the label, to see what you like the best. And also, especially before you start a project, especially a big one, make sure you do that test gauge to see whether your tension and what you're going to do is going to work out to the size that you want. And that way you ensure that you get a perfect project every time. So finding the right combination of hook and yarn can be easy. Why not put them to good use? I have another video out that shows you how you can use up all of your stash of scrap yarns and partial skeins, the leftovers from the other projects that you've had. And we all know we have enough of those. And it does help you to turn that yarn stash and those beautiful yarns that you have into handy items and gifts that are beautiful, useful, and money-saving creations. I'll link it on the screen here, and it'll also be linked in the description down below. So if you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more crochet tips and tutorials. Put in the comments down below what's your favourite hooks and some of your favourite projects. Thank you so much for joining me and keeping me company, and I'll see you in the next one.